Hi and welcome. I'm Angela Ambrosia, and this is I Love Mondays series on new romance. So, new romance has two areas that we experience it. It's when we get that first giggly feeling of first met someone, but also when we're in a relationship and we need to bring back the first tinglings and feelings of being connected with one another. So, this video is actually about what happens when we don't have those feelings. And a topic of mine that's actually one of my favorite topics, which is magic and magic in love. Love is one of those parts of life where we begin to really truly experience having the feelings of magic, having something that's bigger than us, having something that is beyond what we could imagine, something that makes us feel like a kid again, all of those dreams that we used to fantasize happening and coming true. And even if you've had experiences where you've had fantasies and they haven't come true, if you fall in love, there's that rekindling of all of the beliefs in magic. So one of the biggest things that stops that new feeling or the feeling of love being magical is that as adults, we actually don't believe in magic. So I was a very big believer in magic. I still am, but it's very hard in this modern world where we take things at face value to know what magic is. We might get a sense that it's incredible to have a touch phone and to go blah, 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 and suddenly something appears in front of you, or suddenly something becomes delivered to your door, or suddenly you have a contact with a new person on some Facebook app or some Tinder box, and you're discovering a new potential partner. So that technological whiz-bang feeling in our society, we actually understand that concept of things are faster than we've ever thought before. However, when it comes to human relationship, face-to-face, we don't tend to sort of validate people's experience of magic anymore. We have a bad feeling about it. We might think, oh, well, it happens for some, but it doesn't have for us. Or you've had bad experiences, and then when you get that new tingling feeling, you may try to shut it down just so you don't get hurt. And that's normal. When you get hurt, it's the last thing you want to do is reopen another situation where you get hurt. We've talked about that in other episodes of I Love Mondays about the emotional brain. So whenever we get hurt in life, it literally gets stored by the emotional brain, which is attached to our nervous system, which is in our belly. And the nervous system from the emotional brain is really attached to our belly organs and the nerves that go down to our guts and where we get a lot of our intuition. So if you're feeling connected to someone and you've had a bad experience in the past, you might trigger a few memories of not being treated right, or not being your expectations of being treated to come true. So it starts up with that emotional brain, a sense that all those tingling feelings might also be connected to the potential of losing all those good feelings in the new romance. So that happens when we go into any new romantic potential. We always trigger up any unresolved feelings about that potential actually coming true. And as you all know, when we're children, at some point we're raised to stop believing in Santa Claus. We're raised to give up all of our faith in mystical, in the magical, in things that go beyond our imagination, our dreams, to make us feel really alive and excited and protected. And at some point, as adults, we're expected to start looking after ourselves and looking after our emotions. But really, nobody's taught us how to do that. So if you're in a new romance and things start going wrong, or they're not quite gelling with you, the first reaction is either to shut down, perhaps to blame the other person, perhaps to say this is too hard, and you might find you withdrawing naturally, or you might just find that you start to provoke the person and start to argue with them. And so when we go from that magic and that feeling of love in romance to very quickly starting to blame the person for not living up to our expectations or needs, it stops that fire in the relationships, it stops the magic. And then to rekindle the magic becomes harder and harder as we build the list of things that the person hurt us with, did wrong, didn't live up to our expectation. We have a list, and it builds and it builds and it builds. And because we don't have any skills in our society or subjects at school to teach us about emotional management, that list goes unconscious in our very being and consciousness. It can be literally stored stockpiles of memories and justifications of why this person hurt me. So you can start a romance with a very strong passion that brings two people together, and piece by piece that becomes less powerful because you've got this storehouse of things that the person did wrong. So this is what dampens our fire in relationships. We don't have the skills to deal with our emotions. We don't have the skills to sort of go, hey, I'm just excited and I want to believe in the potential of this relationship again, because we've been taught to sort of suppress that. And another aspect is that when you do have a partnership that is very difficult, like you're coming into conflict, we don't have skills to deal with that. So conflict is one of the biggest areas where we need to have tools. We need to have love and relationship tools on how to deal with conflict within ourselves and conflict with the other person. So I'm going to talk about conflict. Conflict appears in you very quickly when you start dating in a relationship. There could be things maybe on a practical level you don't really vibe with on your partner. Maybe on an ideological level you think, I don't really agree with that with my partner. But in the beginning phase, we try to show how much we like the person, or we're too afraid to say, hey, I don't really vibe with that. And we try to give a general sense of tolerance so that the relationship can breathe and start to grow. We don't want to cut it off before it's even started. So there's many reasons why we don't speak up at the beginning of a relationship. Don't beat yourself up for not being blatant and honest about, oh, this doesn't work for me and I don't like that and this doesn't right. Often when you're beginning to interact with a new person, you want the relationship to breathe. You want it to actually have a space, a new space, just like when you were a kid and your parents just gave you your toys and said, go, well, in Australia they used to say go kill yourselves, but they mean go play, go be yourself, go off, leave me alone, be yourself basically, and have fun. And, don't kill anyone while you're doing it. That was how we were encouraged to play as kids. So we want the relationship to have that freedom and space to breathe as well. So the secret that a lot of long-term relationships that rekindle romance, even after the passion is gone and you're in the relationship for a long time and you're used to each other physically and you're not having to hunt each other down anymore because you've got each other. The key is that they find those spaces for the free play time. And some people call it date night. Some people call it their own little thing. But we basically create time and space. And most couples, when they get into a rhythm, forget to play. They forget to bring that new opening back. And that's why a lot of affairs happen, because they're looking for play. So play is vital to capture that fire. When we get into conflict, what we're seeing is that we don't actually have maybe some ability to communicate what's inside of us. Sometimes we can't communicate that conflict to ourselves, and sometimes we can't communicate that conflict to our partner. So looking at the relationship when you get past the romance first beginning stages, and you're starting to see, hang on, this doesn't really work for me, there's going to be naturally a phase where you're going to have to go, I really want you to play and be yourself, but I need this too. And the first step, as always, is finding out what you need, finding out what's coming up for you and what you want. So there's two things I focus on when it comes to romance, and basically when it comes to creating that magic and that space for magic in the relationship. It's needs and wants. And needs are often very practical. For some people they're boring. For some people they're vital. So they're very important to find out, because if you don't know your own needs in the relationship, you can go on and on in the first habit of relationship, which is to go into pleasing others and creating a place of tolerance or attraction, and deny your needs until they'll come knocking at the door a year or so later and screaming at you. And that's where we get a lot of internal conflict, because we don't actually know our needs. And part of the relationship is just to become aware of what your needs are. That's what the gift of being in a love relationship is. It's not just about creating a dream, it's actually becoming more and more aware of yourself and more accepting of who you are. So the needs. And in some dating situations, you might be more explicit about those needs. You might be more upfront. And I encourage people to be very natural about it. If you've had a lot of relationships where your needs weren't met, it may be necessary as you go into dating to start being explicit about that. Say, hey, you're a really attractive person. This is what I need, and can you provide it? So you might want to get it out on the table earlier on. For others, when there's a chemical attraction or a physical attraction or an emotional attraction, we want to let that space breathe. And at some point, you want to start your own self-discussion. Okay, what do I need here for me? And if you've already done that conversation, then see how it might be able to be expressed with the person at some point in the relationship where you feel it flows naturally. The other part is your wants and your dreams and desires. And I'm a big fan of elucidating this part of your love and romance desires to yourself. I spend hours doing that when I grew up. I still do it. I still imagine the feeling of love that I wish to create, because that want is actually not necessarily a lack. It's actually almost putting out into the universe or into that relationship the blueprint of that space and that quality time you wish to share with your partner. Now, if you haven't spent time feeling, and you'll know I'm big on feeling, and I love Mondays, feeling that space you want to share with your partner, you're not going to be as playful or creative when it comes to creating date night, or when it comes to a conflict and you really just want to hit the person. You're not going to do that, but in your mind you might be like wanting to. You won't be as playful even in the anger. And anger is a part of love relationships. It's a healthy part. It can be destructive. But we want to be able to hear the anger and experience it in ourselves. And sometimes we'll give it to our partner because they've contracted to be with us to somehow help us process that anger or experience it. But if you're encouraging more of your dreams and desires of what you want to share with them, what happens with the anger is that you're naturally going to be more compassionate to the anger, or just create a space for it. And then also you're going to come up with solutions a lot more easily. If you haven't given space to those wants, dreams and desires with a relationship in yourself, what happens is we start to project on our partner, well, you're not this and I want this, but you're not giving it to me. Because we haven't actually elucidated or explicitly felt for inside of us what is that feeling. And remember, love is not a logical 1, 2, 3 type thing. It's going to be unique to you and unique to the dynamic of the two people involved. So don't expect it to be formulaic, but I'm just offering some guidelines as to how to tap into those dreams, wants, desires before you start feeling like somebody else should provide them for you. When you begin to give space for that in yourself, what naturally happens, it's like a child who's gone into their daydream and they started thinking about this and this and this. They're going to start looking outside of their world for places where they can play with that. And we don't, even though we become adult and mature in our brain, we don't really change at that basic subconscious level where the imagination plays and breathes and then looks for places where it can experience it. So I'm not talking about fantasies and sexual fantasies simply. Sexual fantasies is a different topic, and we're going to go there in another episode. So this is all about if I have a dream and desire and want emotionally for the partner. If it is something on the more sexual level, when it comes to that, it becomes a way of actually communicating in non-verbal and verbal ways what you would like with your partner. But yes, fantasy is a very important part when it comes to sexual intimacy as well. So let's begin by just connecting to that heart space so we can look at the needs and the wants and really determining how we can actually bring that into the relationship wherever you're at in the spectrum, whether you're looking for a new love, a new partner, or whether you're in a relationship and you want to change the dynamic, maybe even find a way to rekindle a love that you know you had for your partner, but it doesn't seem to have the same dynamic or presence or meaning for you anymore. And if you're dealing with conflict with your partner and you're in the relationship, there's no need in this quick exercise to think you have to just get over your conflict. In fact, we're going to actually ask you to start elucidating explicitly what are your needs and wants and have you write them down. And then we're going to have a little game with that afterwards as well for you to play with. So this is the connection part of the exercise. As you may know, if you've done any of the other episodes of I Love Mondays, it's really about beginning to feel that heart space, which is where we really connect into our inner self, and also we begin to anchor what it is that we wish to experience and who we are. So who we are is always looking to understand itself more by projecting out and experiencing more of the world, more in relationship with the world or others. If you're a bit of an introvert, there's no need to think you have to force that energy. In fact, introverts have a secret gift. Well, maybe it's not that secret to them, but one of their gifts is they can magnetically, by focusing more on the inner self, pull people to them non-verbally. There's a lot of emphasis in our culture for communication now through the social media, but this is a very kind of flat, if I had to describe it in any way, a flat experience of communication. When you actually go inside and magnetize that energy in terms of your needs or your wants, what happens is you begin to actually start to naturally attract it in your physical world. So what you can do is just begin to just see and watch. This is the key with any of these manifestation exercises that I'm sharing in the New Romance episodes, is to start actually watching your progress. So you may do an exercise in the morning and then see later in the day what conversations happen, what interactions happen, how you felt, and also take notes at the end of the day to see if anything interesting popped up. We're going to focus eventually on calling in the one, and this is one of the steps towards that process of calling in the one. Not that I definitely think there's only one, but there's certainly skills to, when you have the one, to maintain the one, this is going to be a continuing process in the relationship of clarifying for yourself those wants and those needs. Some of us think that a relationship should somehow be perfect. I definitely don't believe that. A relationship is far from perfect. If it was, the two of you wouldn't come together. I mean, you can be great friends with someone who's perfect and like you, but there's no need to live with them and indulge in deepening that connection and in resolving conflict. When you're looking at a love relationship, you actually need some sort of tension and something that the two of you share. Could be just making a baby, but hey, that's going to create a lot of conflict or potential opportunity that you get to grow through and also continue to foster this new life that you're bringing in as well. So that creates new potential for growth and conflict, and also resolving of conflict or not. So wants and needs is something that will become some of the stepping stones for you as you find that new relationship and as you continue to manifest romance or continuation of the relationship so it can hold on to magic. So firstly, we're going to breathe into the heart. And as you close the eyes, just noticing how you're feeling in that heart area. And taking a big, deep breath, feeling up that part of you. You can have the hands on the center of the chest. And allow the hands to relax into the heart area, expanding into consciousness. It's also about expanding into your breath. So how can your breath help you feel more of yourself now, whether it's your physical body, maybe relaxing and releasing, or could be your feelings or your thoughts running around. So just allow everything to be there. Whatever's there is there. And with the hands on the center of the heart, you can also begin to feel that sense of almost coming back into yourself, honoring what could be magic or romance for you. So if there's a memory of romance or magic, just think or contemplate about that now. What could that be? Could be a song or a space in the body. Could be as random as a movie or some other past memory of a relationship or the one you're in. What is that magic for you? And for some of us, magic is also just something that connects to our world or nature or feeling of being supported, held, acknowledged. So just notice what is magic about your life and your love life. As you connect to that image, you can see a golden light coming into the heart center and just surrounding whatever that image, sensation, feeling, memory is, allowing the heart to really begin to expand into the feeling that magic is available with every breath. Allow your breath to actually feel the magic is possible with that golden light surrounding your heart. And now you see the magic with that golden light just expanding out of your heart center into your world. It could cover your house, your family, your neighborhood, maybe your planet. Just let it expand as far as you desire now. How do you support that magic in your world? Love is possible. Love is renewable. Every time I breathe, I feel the power of that potential of love in my body, for myself, for others. Breathe the golden light into your center. And this time, with the support of that golden center in your heart, ask, what is it that you need in a relationship? You can pick one relationship that you're working on, or it could be a potential relationship that you wish to bring in. What do you need? And then ask yourself, with that golden light supporting you at the heart center, what is it that you want? What is it that you desire? What do you dream of or for in this relationship? And whatever it is you want, whether it be a deeper connection, to renew that romance, spice up your love life, see yourself now, visualize yourself connecting to that feeling of what you desire to expand into your relationship. You can let your imagination wander and breathe the golden light and see it actually following you into that image surrounding you, almost walking down the path towards you experiencing that desire. As you breathe into the heart, feel the energy of the golden light coming in to really anchor the potential of you creating this space and time for your desires to be experienced and for your needs to be understood. The more you connect to this center, the more you can enable your relationship to really be an extension of what supports you to be more of who you are. And then breathing into the top of the head, down into the body, and letting go any tension or anything that you wish to let go with that breath, all the way down into the earth. So after this exercise, you can write your wants and needs, your dreams and desires. And then as you write that, you can use any light or any game that you wish to literally just send it out into your world. One of the things that we're going to explore when we call in the one is literally how you can send it out. And one of the ways is just to visualize it surrounded by light or in a bubble and see it going out into your world. Just like when you were kids daydreaming and thinking about, oh, I'd love to experience this, or I wish I could have that. Allow your heart to dream and let it transmit that dream. One of the things that we do is keep thinking we have to keep all of these desires inside, but the power comes of creating that new potential when you actually say, I want, I send this out and I know it's something that I can have. Thank you. I'm Angela Ambrosia. Have a blessed week sending out your desires, and we'll connect again.